Ave strategos, I'm Pericles and welcome to my channel. Today we'll be talking about Scipii Roman temples. This episode on this guide playlist is gonna be about the Scipii. In the previous episodes we've talked about the Julii temples and the Brutii temples, and I've mentioned that the next one on the list gonna be the Scipii. After this, I'm planning to jump to the Greek cultured factions like Greek cities, Macedons, Thracians here, and the Seleucids, and we'll see what kind of basically culture factions we can jump from there. But let's go ahead and start with the Scipii temples for today. As similar to the other Roman factions, the Scipii also have three temple choices. The first one is Vulcan, second one is Saturn, and the last one is Neptune. Let's start our guide with the Vulcan first. So the Shrine to Vulcan in the first tier building, it gives us public order bonus due to happiness by 5% and gives us +1 on the light weapons. So we're getting upgrade on the light weapons, which is I do find this pretty useful. I'm type of player that I do like to basically expand my empire aggressively, especially in the early game. In the very first tier of basically when you have a town, having a +1 light weapon upgrade is huge. So let's see what does this light weapons means. So let's check it over here, what kind of melee troops we have. So the town watch, as you see, it says the light infantry, so it means town watch will get beneficial from that upgrade. Same as Hastade, they are also light infantry. Here the things changing. Principes and the Triarii, I think they are heavy infantry. Even the Triarii says a spearman, so I'm believing Triarii gets beneficial from the heavy infantry or heavy weapons. So we have already two units here, the early game units here, that they are getting beneficial from the light weapons. And let's check the cavalry. About the cavalry, basically these guys are the missile cavalry. We're not talking about them, but equites, they are light cavalry, so it means they're getting beneficial. The war dogs and the pigs, as even they're not being used a lot throughout the game, they're also light, they are getting beneficial from the upgrading here. So you have to have a basically town, which is every settlement in the game is a town. Super easy to build, super cheap, one turn, 400 dinaries, having a light weapon upgrade as early as I would say in the second turn you can do it, is huge. So at the early stages of the game, the main core of Roman army are consisted from the Hastades and Equites, and if you pour enough, from town watches. That is actually the huge upgrade. Or I think also the peasants considered as a light infantry. That's another thing. So as you see, they are getting basically beneficial from it too. So it is huge for me. And let's jump to the traits that you have to have at least a shrine to Vulcan for being able to get it, is only the devotion for our merchant. So now we've talked about the devotions to other basically ideologies, other religions for the Julii and Brutii merchants in the previous episodes, but if you've missed, I'll just go and review it quickly. How does devotion work? Let's say you have a settlement, you built a shrine to Vulcan, and you have a merchant in the settlement which doesn't have any kind of devotion to anything yet. Once you click the end turn, the next turn your merchant will get devotion to metalwork with 100% chance. So in the game files it says it's a 100% chance, so there's no other way that you can't get it. By the way, guys, don't basically pay attention to the mercantile genius. It's not being granted by the temple or anything else. It's not a religious basically buff I got. The only thing, I'm using a console commands in this series, and I was not able to get the this trait removed from my merchant. I cleared up all my basically the family members pretty much, for showing you only the traits and followers that you need to have the religious buildings, and everything else is just cleaned up. So whatever you will see in here, except the merchant trade and this faction here stuff, you probably already uh, know that they are coming from the religious buildings. So another thing about the Vulcan building. So in the game files, they're going under the Temple of Forge. So that also makes sense. So since it's a forge and um, having a +1 light weapon upgrade, it kind of makes sense. Like what's the basically connection between them? So that's the only basically trait we're getting is for our merchant. And let's jump to the second tier. Our basically public order bonus due to happiness goes to 10% from 5. Light upgrade, light weapon upgrade stays the same. We are getting additionally heavy weapon upgrade. So here we go. In the second tier, we can already upgrade our Principes and uh, Triarii probably as well. I would say that's not super important as the light weapons, but it is great, especially once you have the Marian uniforms. Heavy weapons is much more useful because you will be starting basically pumping out the cohorts, legionary cohorts, or like uh, urban cohorts and stuff. So and the cavalries are getting much heavy based cavalry. So that's huge towards the later of the game, but you can still get it as early as a large town. And now let's jump to the trades and followers comes after building the Temple of Vulcan. So the first trait is an engineer. In the game files, it's called the Good Engineer 1. And how does it work? You have to have a Temple of Vulcan and buildings above tier. So you have to have at least a Temple of Vulcan, and you have to have a family member or general, which gonna end the turn in the settlement, and he's gonna have a 10% of chance in the next turn for being able to get this trait, and it gives us 20 build points, and this build points only can be used for building a siege equipment. Basically, if you are using that guy as a governor and trying to build some buildings in this settlement, uh, this build points won't help in any extent. So as you see, it says required for the construction of siege equipment. So this is a good trait for frontline general, basically the guy who goes to the campaigns and sieges the towns and stuff. Sometimes if you don't have too many troops on your army, basically on your stack, basically sometimes even for let's say even for sieging a little settlement, it says you have to wait for 2 turns for building a battering ram. That's pretty annoying. So if you have this, that might help you in some extent. You may decrease that build for like the waiting period to 1 turn instead of 2, and move faster, siege faster, and everything else. And another trait is a minor one, works exactly the same way as the engineer does, and also have a 10% of chance for each turn for our family member to be able to obtain it, and gives us 10% bonus on mining income. I would say this is more like a governor perk, and it is very specific governor perk because you can't use that bonus, let's say in Capua or in Messina or in Syracuse neither. Like you have to have a settlement has mines on it. From the area here, I know that Croton has. They can build the mines in Croton. Also, you can do in Saluna and Segestica here. They both have access to mines, and I think here we should have in Thessalonica and Athens and stuff, but not every settlement do have an access. So it's not as useful as engineer, I would say, but it never hurts. I mean, it never hurts to have a such a thing. In general, you're gonna see from the followers as well. I feel like this temple, like the Vulcan, basically branch. Let's say Vulcan, basically the line of 3 is more focused on the weapon upgrades, army upgrades, and more like a mining income bonuses. So it might make a sense if you would build that temple with in a settlements that they have mines, basically access to mines, like towns and settlements I just mentioned. It might work over there much better. So let's jump to the followers. We have a inventor here, which is in the game for us called Brilliant Inventor. and it has 8% of chance. It works exact same with the traits, but it has just 8% of chance for our family member to be able to get it. And it has what it gives to us: plus 30 build points only for siege equipment again, plus 1 farming output, and 20% bonus on mining. Again, we see the mining bonus income, and farming output is actually a nice another touch. So it is a little bit hybrid follower, I would say, because the build points is required for a general that always goes to the sieges, right? But farming output and mining income you should have in a governor. So your family member with this follower should sit in the settlement so you can get beneficial from it. Once you on the map constantly moving, you're not getting any use of it. So it lets us use it both offensive and basically the passive style. So it's not a bad traits. Again, the mining is a little bit specific to the settlement, but farming it works everywhere. So not a bad basically follower, I would say. And the next one on the list is a geometer. It says plus 1 command when defending the walls and 10% discount on construction costs. So now here we're talking about the constructions we're doing in the settlement, like these buildings. So as you see, he does a 10% income already. So this port actually should be 800 denarii. We are having 720, which is not super huge, not super basically lifesaver. You're not saving tons of denarii here, but a bit. And in the early game, if you're gonna be able to get this guy, it might be any kind of help. I don't think so. I don't think so. I'll be needing this discount in that stage, a very tiny discount, but plus 1 command when defending the walls. If you auto resolve person, that might help for you. That's more like a passive follower, I would say. Not a kind of follower that might be my favorite, but for some people, for specific kind of use, might be helpful. And let's see how we can get it. So this guy has, the geometry guy has 15% of chance for our general to be able to obtain it, but there is also another additional condition here. If you want to get that guy, you have to have, the first condition is you have to have a temple of Vulcan already built in your settlement. The second condition, your general family member should be ending the turn at the settlement. That as like the same with the all other traits and stuff we have already talked about. And the extra additional condition here is the settlement that you've already built the Temple of Vulcan and the family member is sitting has to have at least an academy and the buildings on above tier like scriptorium or a ludus magna, but you have to have at least academy, so you can go ahead and get the basically geometer just with 15% of chance. So if you'll meet all the requirements, you still have to rely on the 15% of chance. So being able to get this guy, I wouldn't work so hard on it to get it, but if you like to get it and if you feel like it is difficult to get, I just want to have it, you can keep this information in your mind. And the priest of Vulcan, as other like exact same way as the other priests that we've talked with the other factions as well, all the priests requires at least to have a second tier of the religious building and the tiers above, and also has 15% of chance for our family member once he's sitting at the settlement at the end of the turn. Let's see what the priest of Vulcan grants to our family member. Plus 1 management, 10% discount on unit training, and 20% bonus on mining. So mining again, management is good. I do like to see plus 1 management points and 10% discount on unit training costs. It is not bad. So this is completely governor, I would say, follower, and there's no any use for the frontline general. So if you do have in one of your family members, and if you're planning to send them to the conquest and stuff, it is better to move that follower to one of your other governors, and that might be beneficial. So this is like the user, I think. For example, sometimes in the Thessalonica, they're usually having a decent level of barracks and basically the stables already when you capture it. So there might be a good basically uh, follower. If you have a governor on Thessalonica, you're gonna get benefited from the mining income. You can train some basically units over there because they already have a barracks and stables, and the +1 management also gonna increase all kind of basically income over there, all the trade, mining, tax, and everything. So this is a great follower for a governor in a town or settlement just like Thessalonica. So let's jump to the upper tier Vulcan building. So in the third tier we're getting our bonus jumped to 15 from 10. We are having light and heavy weapons that they're staying the exact way, and we're getting upgrade on armors. So upgrade on armor is applied to all the units in the game. All units has an armor, and if you'll ask which building is that, which basically um, sign is that, as you see the bronze shield under the sword sign, so that's the armor. So all the units in the game is gonna get benefited from it. So it means until this point, basically, you already once you build the third tier of the Vulcan building, all the units in the game is gonna have at least bronze sword and the shield basically upgrade already, which is light and heavy weapon upgrades and the armor upgrades. And there is no other basically trait or follower that requires the large temple of Vulcan or any other higher tiers. All the traits and followers are required for the requires the temple of Vulcan actually, which doesn't mean if you have a large temple of Vulcan you're not gonna be able to get any of these traits or the followers, but you will still be able to get it, but you don't have to you don't like necessarily have to have a large temple of Vulcan. Only having a temple of Vulcan is more than enough. Having a higher tier building is not increasing the chances of getting that traits or followers again. So it is just you basically upgrading the building for its own bonuses. And the fourth tier, our public order bonus goes up to 20%. We're still having those three upgrades, and we started getting experience bonus on troops trained here, which is this line of three so far goes on a basically heavy military focus. The unit basically the quantity basically let's say the quality focused over the quantity here so far. So yep, this is what the upgrades or what the buffs I love to see. And at the last fifth tier, our public order bonus goes up to 25. We're still having all the upgrades here. Our experience goes up to extra 2 points from extra 1, and we are having additionally public order bonus due to law by 10%, which is also the nice touch because at this stage of the game basically, whenever you have already huge city and you've been able to build a pantheon, it means you started dealing with some public order issues. So in the last year having a public order bonus is pretty useful for me. So that's it about the Vulcan. Let's jump to the settlement that I have built, the Saturn. So in the game files, Saturn goes as a basically temple of Allah. That's how it's called in the game files. And let's actually check the building itself first and see what's the shrine to Saturn grants to us. So the shrine to Saturn gets us 5% public order bonus due to happiness and 5% public order bonus due to law, which is both at the end is a public order bonus, which is nice. So it is useful for maintaining the settlement happiness public order. You don't have to leave a huge amount of garrisons behind when you continue your conquest after conquering one settlement. And let's see what kind of basically traits we are being able to get. Again, our merchant gets its devotion to law since it's a temple of law in the game files. It has +1 finance when trading slaves and -1 when not trading slaves. So slaves, I have talked about the temple of leadership in the basically the Julii faction, has exactly the same devotion to basically leadership, exact same +1 finance when trading slaves and when not trading slaves. Very useful for me, I guess, because after one point when once I'm getting basically my conquests further than my capital, I start to having a public order issues, and there's two choices I'm facing when I do capture a new settlement. Either I have to enslave them or exterminate them. In most situations, exterminating them basically kills the prosperity of the region, and it takes too long time for the settlement to basically recover itself again. But enslaving is a nice option. You basically taking almost a half of the population from the settlement, so you deal with much more less people's public order issues, and also that basically population is being divided evenly between all of your other existing settlements, so which is huge. So I would say basically having +1 finance when trading slaves is much better having +1 finance when trading base minerals. And I don't care about like having +1 basically finance when trading minerals and -1 on timber, but I would say that has a better kind of use, I would say. So that's the one trait that we're getting with the first tier, and the second trait here we are getting for our family member, which is called, this is actually a follower, astrologer. So gives us +1 command and -1 management. It requires just the first tier of Saturn building, the shrine to Saturn building, and there's only additional thing about here. So at the end of the turn, if you've already built a shrine to Saturn, and if this guy ends the turn in the settlement, he has a 15% of chance to be able to get astrologer if this guy already have a superstitious 1 trait in himself. So this guy so far hasn't. I didn't add that trait to him, but I did add to our faction leader here. I just sent all the unnecessary stuff to him. So this is the superstitious 1. That's what the trait looks like. Rational concerns. +1 morale for all troops on the battlefield. I didn't take a look how you can get this trait for your family member, but looks like pretty decent trait. +1 morale. I'm a guy that I usually do the battles manually, most of the time actually, and I never play arcade mode on, so +1 morale is a huge, and this trait is a huge. So if you already have that, and if you've built the shrine to Saturn, you have 15% of chance at the end of each turn for your family member to get this trait. This trait, this follower itself is not useful, I would say. I don't care about the command, since I am fighting my battles manually. This command shouldn't be any kind of help, but -1 management, it kind of hurts me, and management is a thing that I always try to keep it higher, because that's how your governors gets you earn some extra money. So management 1, I think I wouldn't like to have this one, so I would try to just basically either send to someone that is not useful at all or something. So that's pretty much it for the first tier Saturn building. So on the second tier, both of our public order bonuses goes up to 10% from 5, and we're getting couple more. We've been able to get couple more traits since we built this building. And this traits, the first one gonna be the sober, which is on the game files, goes under sobriety 1, and gives us +1 management and 5% penalty to your pupil, to your popularity with the pupil. +1 management is very nice to see. 5% penalty to your popularity with the pupil. It looks like a debuff, but it's not for me. I don't care. That might be 10 or 15%. I would still feel like this trait would be nice, because I'm always having very nice relations, very nice popularity with the pupil, because I'm always trying to, in my gameplays, try to block the other Roman factions, basically expansion areas, and once usually you're reaching to like 15-20 settlements, your popularity with the pupil is usually is being higher over here. So I don't think so you will be having a problem with the pupil. So I do feel like this is a good trait to have. And this your general has a 15% of chance if you've already built the temple of Saturn in your building. So at the end of the turn he has a 15% of chance each turn for obtaining this trait. Another one is called the Punisher, and in the game files is goes under the Harsh Justice 1. +1 unrest has a negative effect on the public order, and +2 law improves the public order. So it is like takes a bit, gives a bit more. Both is actually at the end basically related to the public order. So basically you're increasing your unrest a bit, so you're gonna have a more disorder, but at the same time you have more law than you're getting unrest. So a bit better. I would say it is a buff so far. You're getting a bit of extra public order, so it's not like something huge, but it is nice to have. So another one on the list is Stern, and in the game files it's called Austere 1, +1 management and 100% increase cost to bribe. +1 management is huge, and this looks like a good buff too. It never hurts to have such a thing, but this is not super useful. I mean, if your general is gonna be bought by the enemy diplomat or other factions diplomat, I don't care how much they spend. Anyways, I feel like AI printing money sometimes, but I mean, +1 management is good to have. And we have our priest again here, priest of Saturn, +1 influence, +1 management, +2 public security, and which is pretty nice. I would say it has much better or more broad of use than the priest of Vulcan we just talked about. So influence and the management points, they both are useful, and +2 public security, can't say the same, but never hurts to have extra public security. So it only helps our basically if we have a higher public security on the settlement, enemy spies is gonna have much more difficulty to try to get the information about your settlement, your garrison. Also much difficult for them to infiltrate to the settlement, and if your enemy assassin tries to sabotage anything, they're also gonna have a much more difficulty. It all depends. Is it very important for you? Not for me. So I would say not super important, but overall is a nice follower, and it has a 15% of chance at the end of each turn for our general to be able to get that follower. And let's jump to the third tier of the Saturn building. Both our public order bonuses goes up to 15. We are steadily seeing an increase, and here we go, we're seeing 20% here, and additionally after having after building an awesome temple of Saturn, you've been enabled to train Arcanis. We've already talked about Arcanis. They are very specific units that might basically expand your army composition, but have a very niche kind of use, I would say. And as a Pantheon level, we're getting both bonuses goes up to 25%. And look what we're getting here. We're getting light weapon, heavy weapon, and armor upgrades at the last tier. So this Pantheon kept all its military buffs to the last stage, which is still not bad. I mean, once you reached here as a Roman faction, it means you already got the mercenary forms. And if you did, having a weapon, heavy weapon and armor upgrades can be a great addition to your army. Because probably once you got the Mario uniforms, not too long after you will be starting fight against the Romans. So they have the same units pretty much. They have the same cohorts, same cavalry and stuff. Being ahead of them with 1 or 2 step is nice. So that's pretty much it about the Saturn, about the Temple of Law. So let's jump to the last one on the list. I would say the very unique one throughout the all Roman temples, Shrine to Neptune. In the game files it goes under the Temple of Naval. So at the first tier it gives us 5% public order bonus due to happiness, and the only trait that requires to have a shrine to Neptune is again devotion. I no, here, I'm sorry. Yep, here. So devotion to seafaring. +1 finance when trading timber, -1 for live goods. I mean, really specific trait, really specific use of it. So doesn't basically blow me away, but it's not that bad neither. So that's the only trait that requires to have a shrine to Neptune and the buildings above. And let's jump to the basically the upper tiers. So Temple of Neptune in the second tier, we're getting 10% public order bonus due to happiness in here instead of 5, and we are getting our priest here, priest of Neptune, and this priest is different than all other priests in the game. And the way how it works, let's see what is that first. It's +2 command at sea, and the way it works is not for the, so far all the priests we have seen in all other Roman factions are for the family members. This is the only priest are for the admirals, for the basically the guys who is the commander of your ships. So, and how does it work? If you're recruiting a, let's say if I have a Temple of Neptune on my settlement here in Syracuse, let's say I built the Temple of Neptune and I am building a ship. When I build a ship, I'm gonna basically have an admiral as well. So that admiral has a 15% of chance for being able to get the priest of Neptune. Very basically unique priest in comparison with the rest of the Roman priests. So that's it. On the third tier, we're getting our bonus increased up to 15 from 10, and on the fourth, we're getting 20% now. But we are also being enabled to train the Corvus Quinquereme. I guess, I hope I pronounced it right, which is in general Scipii. They have a supreme power on the naval, especially once you're going with the Neptune line. You're gonna get one more a bit later I'm gonna talk about. These ships, the most strong ship so far you're getting in the game is basically what's the name, is a Quinquereme. It has 250 basically soldiers in it, but look at this guy. This guy already giving more than that for you. It gives 250, but morale, melee attack, and the defense should be a bit higher. So over here you're getting 8, 10, 10, 5, 5, and you're getting 8. You got 4 more melee attack and 10, 5, 5, a little bit decrease. Actually, I hyped about the Corvus Quinquereme a bit more, so it's like I was thinking more highly about it. Now I feel like it's a bit of upgrade, not that bad, but not like super upgrade. As I'm saying, this is the Scipii is the faction that throughout all my playthroughs I haven't played with them too much, because they're not the type of Roman faction that I would like to play. I like to play with the Julii's and Brutii's, but the Scipii's, they are not my favorite, to be honest. That's why I'm not so super informative about their units and stuff. But I was thinking basically my expectations about this unit was a bit higher, but still not bad. So let's check the last tier. Our bonus goes up to 25% here from 20, and we're getting couple extra traits here. 10% public order bonus due to law, which is great. At the huge city level, it is very nice to have. And light weapon, heavy weapon, and the armor upgrades, again same. It means the Marian reforms are done. You have like better like cohorts, better armies, and sooner or later you'll be start clashing to the fight with the other Roman factions. Having a bit of upgrade over them is a nice. And also you being able to train a Decore, I guess, or however it's pronounced. It has a slightly bit more number of soldiers. There's 50 more soldiers in it, and our melee attack is increased, morale stays the same, and a little bit defense and the armor getting increased here. So it might be the one that I have seen that is stronger than the rest of the naval units, but yet they have basically a very broad choice of naval units compared with the rest of the world. So I wouldn't build a basically Temple of Neptune in every settlement. I would build in, let's say, if I have 15 settlements, maybe in 2 or 3 of them, let's say only in basically only in Messana, Syracuse, and the Lilybaeum. I might build a priest of basically at the Temple of Neptune and try to increase the tier of buildings here, and I can only basically train naval units here for my for securing the Mediterranean security, right? So, but I'm not too much a naval guy. The only use of naval I am basically having is just for the transportation. I don't like to play the naval fights because there's no other way. If I could fight manually, that would be very interesting to play with the Scipii then, but I don't like to auto resolve because sometimes in one of my I just recorded it yesterday, you're gonna see I'm having like couple much more number ships over the rebel ships, and they're just crushing me. So it doesn't make a sense for me. There is no way you can control it, so that's why Scipii is not my I would say the area of interest. But yeah, and there's another condition actually I missed to mention at the beginning. Most of the time, if you want to build, let's say you conquered the settlement, you destroyed the enemy, basically the religious building, and trying to build yours, you're gonna see the option as a shrine to Vulcan, shrine to Saturn. But if you don't have a at least the first tier of port built in your settlement, you're not gonna be able to see the shrine to Neptune. So you have to have at least port for being able to shrine to Neptune. So if you started the game and can't see why I can't build a shrine to Neptune, just go ahead and build a port first, and you're gonna be able to see that now the shrine to Neptune is basically available to build. So that's pretty much it, guys. I tried to cover all the possible traits, followers, their requirements and stuff, and I hope it was any kind of use for you, and I'm hoping you guys all are enjoyed. If you did, please like and subscribe, and as I mentioned, I will be continuing this series with the Greek cultured factions. Probably I'm not so sure that I'm gonna be able to basically post this series every day as I do with my Greek campaign series, but at least a couple times a week I'm gonna try to keep it posted regularly. I'm planning at least 2 times a week, if I'm gonna be able to do it 3 times a week, because this series requires a bit of preparation from my end, and since I have another full-time work and trying to make it in my free time, so this needs a bit of time. So I hope I can basically I was able to came up with the ideas, with the information that you all feel in some extent useful for yourselves. So alright guys, I'll be seeing you hopefully in the next episodes, and take care since then.